Hi folks, well it's been quite a while since I've done an update on the TPI bike. This is the Husky TE300 TPI bike. I've now done 70 hours on it. It's been flawless, have not had any problems with the bike whatsoever. Just put oil in it, put gas in it, clean the air filter, change the gear oil, and off you go. The only thing I've done to it since purchasing it, other than putting all the accessories on, or putting the Recluse left-hand rear brake, gnarly pipe, turbine core 2 silencer on it, changing the tyres and putting mousses on, and also if you've seen the other videos, I changed the forks out and put the WP AER 48 air forks in with the MX Tech mid-valve kit, which takes the harshness out and makes them a really nice plush fork that's very progressive in nature. The only other thing I've done is actually just turned the idle up. They all seem to idle a little low from the factory. There's the idle screw there. It's actually an air screw, so it just bypasses air when the throttle valve is, the butterfly is closed. Just open that up. I think I've gone about half a turn. Even in the cold weather, don't ever need to use the hot start, or the cold start, sorry. That's the choke, what's supposedly meant to be a choke. Never touch that, just hit the button. If you're going from high altitudes, yes, the bike's dirty. If you're going from high altitudes, say you're racing or riding up at high altitudes and you transport the bike back down to a low altitude, you want to start the bike and let it cut out and then restart it again. If you don't do that, what ends up happening is it doesn't run properly. It's not having the right fuel ratios. It hasn't compensated for the height yet. So when it starts up, it turns off. Then you just restart it again, and then it's compensated for the change in altitude. That sort of caught me out a few weeks back. I tried to keep the bike going after washing it, after bringing it back from a race, and didn't like it very much. But stopped it, reset the engine light that came on. 5 twists of the throttle after the ignition is livened up without the engine running, and it clears it. And good to go. Had to put a new seat cover on because I tore the other one and got snagged on a tree or something during a crash. Always run the Metis tyres, the soft gummies, with the Enduro mousse, which is the mousses that I make. I think I had to put new brake pads in. I put the I usually run the SRT pads because they work a little bit better, but in this case I put the EDS or whatever they are, because I had a set lying around. Had to adjust the Recluse a little bit. That started to drag slightly, but just adjusted that. And changed the oil in the forks frequently because they do tend to suck in a little bit of water into the forks. So if you are riding through water a lot with the air forks, I suggest you change oil regularly. It's easy to do. Pull the forks out, undo the top cap. The wrenches are about $8. Undo the cap, drain the fork oil out, and then just put 200 ml of 5-weight oil in to replace it. 200 ml in each leg, and that's spot on. Got the fork bleeders, of course. Never used the map switch. It's meant to be on the faster one, so that's all we care about at the moment. Got a cool little phone mount here. Put the phone in, clamp it up. Phone's popped out a couple of times, but it's like from hitting trees and shit, so not really a big deal. The fan, that all fucked up. The wiring on them is pretty shitty on the Trailtech ones. So the thermostat ended up not working properly on it, so I just put a switch on. Switch is way more reliable and user-friendly. What else? People complain about dust and stuff building up around here, but that's only if you either overflow it or it's not clean. if you keep this clean, it doesn't build up with dust. Mine hasn't built up with dust. Just make sure you don't overfill it. And when I pressure wash it, just make sure it's clean around there. There's guys making things for the air filters to stop the little sharp edge inside the air filter cage rubbing on the filter, but I haven't found that there's any problem with that. Rear spring, I'm just over 200 pounds. I'm about 91, 92 kilograms. And I'm still running the stock spring. The sag has come up perfectly. Man, it's in the middle of its adjustment. Seems to be just fine. I think it's more balanced with the air fork anyway, so you're not getting that biased onto the soft front end of the stock forks, which I don't have. 70 hours. The stock radiator guards are probably the best ones you can get. They're way stronger than any aftermarket ones as far as just the way they integrate with the bike and direct the airflow. So also direct a lot of leaves in there at the moment, but I haven't, as I say, I haven't cleaned it since the last ride. I've been a little busy. Other than that, it's done some good races. Easy keeps up with the 450s and on the open, wide open throttle stuff, which is pretty cool. I really didn't think that a 300 would have that sort of top end power, but it did. And that was even running I run a 51 on the back and the stock 13 on the front. Yeah, it was fantastic. Haven't even done a set of wheel bearings on it yet, funnily enough, but I have only ridden the bike through summer. It's coming into winter now, so it's going to be a bit of a different story. Titanium pegs, because the stock ones really are shit. Hit a rock and they're pretty much fucked. But these ones are holding up good, starting to round off a little bit, probably sharpen them up over winter. But other than that, it's just been a sweet, perfect bike. Occasionally you got to pull the throttle tube here off and just clean it up a bit, because it gets the grease or whatever is on the bars. It tends to make the throttles be a little bit sticky and hard. So just get in there and clean that up every now and again. Keep it clean and dry. But other than that, 70 hours and won a few races on this baby, and just works perfectly and works sweet every time. The linkage guard that I make, I'll be offering these for sale shortly. Let's get under here and have a little squiz. So you got the stock skid plate, which I feel is the best one. Bolts on nice, it clips on, it's inexpensive. It's pretty much the same as the Acerbis one. And then we have the link skid that is integrated in, and it just covers over that linkage really nicely. It's a really good way to help getting over those rocks and logs and shit like that. Starter has been good. If you lay the bike right over in one direction, the Bendix tends to not go in as well as it should sometimes, but who gives a fuck? It stand the bike back up and it works fine. Other than that, the bike's been great. A little bit more torque than the 250 I had, which is what I wanted. Because I don't run the clutch, I have the brake lever up on the handlebar. The 300 can pull basically nearly any gear in any condition, so you know, within reason of course, but it allows you to get up over shit without too much trouble, and not lose that momentum on hills. It'll actually slip the clutch if the RPM start to get a bit low, which is nice. The torque will overcome the recluse. No problems with things like reeds, no problems with oil lines or anything like that. There's always oil in that little line there. You can see I run a oil that's red, so it's got a good contrast so you can see it. And other than that, it's been an awesome bike. Yeah. So that's all for now, folks. If anything should change, I'll update people and let them know of any dramas or problems that I've had. I think I've already told people that I changed to a lower handlebar because the stock bars on the TEs are a little high for racing and standing up, going up hills. A little bit better control with the flatter bars. But other than that, yep, it's all good. Thanks to my sponsors for the race season this year. We got MX1 Canada, we got RMR Suspensions. He helps with setup, which is unreal. That's his parts shop here, H2R Distributing. Metis Tyres, best tyres on the market. And of course, it wouldn't all be written on the bike if it wasn't for Marcom Signs and Graphics.